To the A-team call. And as I love to say for this A-team, stands for Action Team. It's to learn the tips to success, tricks of the trade, and just wisdom from leaders across ARIIX and New Age to leaders from the industry to people that are maybe experts in a different area that can help us in learning those tricks or those tips. And it's funny because I have had a conversation multiple times with people, and I share with them what this call is and how I'm looking for, friends of mine in the industry, acquaintances sometimes, but many of my friends in the industry that come on that are from other companies. And they just can't believe that we're having a call where there are people that we're inviting that are leaders from other companies. And I just think, why is that a weird thing? Why would it be a weird thing? Why wouldn't we, as members of a great industry, why wouldn't we want to raise the waters and help other people to be successful, especially those that are with companies that are good companies? And I know that ARIIX is considered to be one of those good companies and is respected in the industry. So why wouldn't people want to come out and help us? And I love that about this call. So we have a couple of guests here tonight. I'm going to start the call by inviting somebody. So first of all, she's a rare individual. She's on the coaching staff, the football coaching staff of University of Tennessee football. She is a unique individual, and I've had a chance to talk to her a number of times. I've had a chance to be in her home. Just a lovely woman and somebody that I have a deep respect for. So she has kind of a unique story. So Myra Miles from Tennessee from Florence, Alabama by way of Tennessee. Welcome to the call.
Hey, thank you, Rick. Just thank you for asking me to be on tonight. I was really excited when I found out you wanted me to join you guys, and just I'll share something, briefly about how I ended up where I am with ARIIX New Age. It's been a journey for me. About 10 years ago, Brent Palmer, who's a dear friend of mine, I've known him my entire life, he approached me about joining LIMU. And at the time, I was the athletic director at Hoover High School, the largest high school in the state of Alabama. And I just, that I don't have time. And I really look back and think I really didn't, but it probably was one of the biggest mistakes of my life, not going ahead and jumping on board then. But we all know Brent, and we know Brent is very persistent. And when LIMU combined and went with ARIIX, he approached me again. He drove to Knoxville, and we sat down and met. And it didn't take 20 minutes probably for me to realize that I wanted to be a part of this. Now, let me go back. I've never done network marketing. Matter of fact, I was one of the people that said, I will never do that. That's crazy. My whole perception was the old network marketing, this is a pyramid scheme, all that craziness that went on years ago. But fortunately, and I told him, I said, I'm not going to sell anything. But fortunately, once I got in, it was just amazing. And here's the thing people need to understand on this call. If you are thinking about joining us, or if you're a little bit in a time constraint, I've got a lot of time constraints, but it was very important to me to get started into this. And I'm going to tell you, I would say I'm a part-timer, literally, in this business right now. But my part-time job with New Age ARIIX pays a mortgage on my house. So now here's, 2 years from now, I want to be way out there, and I will be. But right now, I'm doing everything I can to be as successful as I can be. And the biggest reason is this company, the people. Rick, all of you guys are amazing. I've been blessed to meet so many fantastic people, but it's just the timing was perfect for me this time. And don't ever let time be an excuse, because the way you guys have this set up, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's built for us to be able to succeed. And then for us to, get on the stock market, it's just this thing, I can see it's going just straight up to the top. So I, I just feel very fortunate. Cannot wait to get to Texas next week. I'm just looking so forward to that. So, but that's kind of a short version of my story and how I got here. And I feel very blessed.
Mm. So Myra, just to ask you, so what was it that, I know you have a deep respect for Brent, I get that, and I, as well as I, but what was it that kind of tipped the scale for you in a sense? Why did you say yes when it came to ARIIX at that time?
Well, I had already retired from the state of Alabama after 30 years and went to work actually in the firework industry. But I knew after Jeremy Pruitt, the head football coach, came and talked to me, because we were connected through years back at Hoover High School. I told him I'd give him 3 to 5 years to help him to get the program turned around. But here's why. Because I knew after this time at Tennessee, I was going back to Alabama, and I wanted to continue to work because I still consider myself young at 59 years old. So, but once I got involved, Rick, and then I got the product, that was a game changer for me. I mean, it was absolutely a game changer, because I totally feel comfortable now telling somebody about product that I use. I've been able to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose about 20 more. But it's when you believe in something, it's easy to promote it. And then hearing Dr. Ginger and going to Arkansas to that powerful weekend, it was amazing. So, but I guess it was just mainly once I got the products and I started using the products, and I was making some money, and I wasn't killing myself. It was just, everything was just a game changer for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for being with us tonight. And I see you're wearing your Rocky Top orange today.
I am.
It's funny how that happens. And this has nothing to do with the call or business, but when I was growing up in the high school that I went to, I grew up in the same area, knowing that I was going to go to that high school. When I got to high school, it was a very, very powerful sports program in the state of Utah, on many levels. And I bled the Eagles, I mean, it was like, all of my colors were that color. I mean, I was ready to go. And then my wife and I got married, we started having children, and then we moved to another area of Salt Lake, which was a completely different high school. And once my kids started going to that high school, I was all Bingham blue in a sense. So, it's interesting how we change and we shift, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And also, if I can just invite everyone in the morning, we've got a special guest in the morning on our Coach's Corner call, and we're really excited about it. So we would love for you to join us in the morning on Coach's Corner. And I know it'll be posted out there in ARIIX Nation. But anyway, hopefully we'll see y'all, some of you guys, new people in the morning. But thanks again, Rick, for having me.
You got it. Thanks, Myra. Thanks for being with us. And my special guest, I've been texting. I don't know if he met with an accident or something, but I'm watching for him and when he comes on, and I apologize for that. But you know what? One of the things that I have grown accustomed to is thinking on my feet and adjusting when adjustment's necessary. And what I'd like to do, and while we're waiting for him, is to kind of reflect a little bit on some things that a few of the other people have said when they've come on this call, and call it the best of or something along those lines. And I was thinking today how fortunate we are. And many of the people, there've been consistent messages, obviously. and relationships obviously being one of those. Thinking back when Jim Lupkin was on here and talked about his program and his book, and understanding that people go through life changes every 6 months. I want to remind you all that if you made a list, like by show of hands, and I'm gonna cancel the spotlight video here and go to the view of everybody, at least as many as I can see. How many of you, by raise of hand, when you joined the company or joined the business, that you made a list? You went and made a list, and you know how most of us are taught to do that, make a list of names, people you know, and there's memory joggers involved in that, and who do you know, who do you know, who do you know, and that sort of thing. So, and you don't need to raise your hands, but I want you to ask yourself this question. When was the last time that I went back and started that list over again? I don't mean creating a new one. I mean going back and calling those people that you had called before. Because that list, based upon what Jim Lumpkin said, that life changes, we experience life changes every 6 months. How many of you have gone back knowing that that is true and looked at that list freshly again as if you had never called an individual on that list? And I would imagine a fairly high percentage of people on this call have not done that, because I think it's human nature to have made a list and thinking, oh, I made a list and I've already called them. But so many changes happen in people's lives, and many of those you could drip on either through social media or through other means to reconnect, to find new common ground. And so that's a reminder from the call that we had with Jim Lupkin and his strategy in maintaining those relationships because of those life changes. So I would challenge you, if you haven't done that, go find that list, or if you've lost it, what a great opportunity to go recreate it, and start as if you were starting today. I was on a call the other day, and as we were talking through everything that was going on, and I won't say who I was talking with, but they had invited somebody to go to our website to enroll, and they had met with some challenges, and they were frustrated, and they say, and the comment was, maybe the company's not ready for me because they're a big player and they're a fast mover. And my point was, that's one way to look at it, because we're definitely shifting, we're improving, we're creating new dashboards, we're creating new front end software. All of our back office is going to be built on a new platform. So there's a lot of improvements that are happening. And I'm the first to admit that our website might be a little archaic, depending on your age group today, but it's a little bit older, and I think it could be 10 times easier to navigate. The data's there, but it's not easy to navigate. So I told them, I said, you can look at it that way, that they're not ready for me, or you can look at it and say, I'm joining a $550 million startup. I mean, think about it from that perspective. I want everybody to write it down if you've got something to write on, that I am building a multi-million-dollar global enterprise. Okay, if you've got a pencil and paper, I want you to write this down and say, and I can see Myra right there. I'm going to say, Myra, Myra Miles, am building I would say, depending on how big you're thinking, I would say $1 billion global enterprise. And the reason why, I want you to shift a little bit in your thinking, because many of you, maybe if you just got started and you have a small organization, or maybe you've been involved for a while and, you've been working at part-time and, kind of in the, as Jen Johnson likes to call it, nooks and crannies of your life and so on. And maybe it isn't as large as you think it should be. Maybe it's small in comparison to maybe somebody else. But when you start thinking about your business as a multi-billion-dollar global enterprise, instead of, I have a small little group and just kind of got started, and you can see the difference in how you perceive what you have. And I believe that even today, at 550 million as a combined company and a public company, that we are just in the startup phase. And I don't mean that from a financial risk. I don't mean that from a, we don't have the products or things like that. But in terms of where we're going to be in 3 years from now compared to where we are today, that's how I look at it. And yet you've got the foundation of a $550 million company that has a business plan and strategy to be 2.4 billion in 3 years. That is a fact. So I know I've been associated with companies and people that say, we're going to be a $1 billion company. And you look at their infrastructure and their management team, you're like going, yeah, there's no way. That's not going to happen. And yet, I love their thinking. I'm not stating this like a pipe dream. I'm suggesting to you that I've been in meetings for the last 3, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, where we have mapped out a business plan where we are going to be 0.4 billion in 3 years. And think about that, what that will look like for you. A lot of that is going to be organic growth. Some of that is going to be additional acquisitions. I look at Stefan Page, who was on here one night, and we were talking, and people look at Stefan and they say, oh, he's so lucky. And they don't know that for 12 to 14 years, he was in the shadows of Tim Sales and the others, and started, I don't know if maybe some of you that are on their call don't know his story exactly, but he didn't speak English, and he learned English listening to Tim Sales training tapes. I think that is the most awesome story. And yet you speak to him now, and yes, he has an accent still, but not a lot. And he speaks English perfectly. Obviously, it's a second language, but it is a primary language for him. And he was in the shadows and was not a successful distributor for many, many, many years. And he just stuck with it. And recently, through relationships that he created in Indonesia, brought the company Shannon, which was one of our acquisitions this last 8 months, to us. We were able to put that together, and guess whose organization that company now is a part of. So you could say, oh, he's lucky, or you could say, the winner is the one who sticks it out and is just continually, daily, just being consistent. When I say daily, it's a part-time job. I don't necessarily mean that it's every day for multiple hours in the day. You have to decide what your time looks like. I would also ask you to do another exercise, and I think this is very valuable. And the reason why I'm doing all this is giving a perspective, so that as we talk about how do I talk to somebody, if you have a perspective that we are going to be a $2.4 billion company in 3 years, and you're going to own X percent, and I don't mean own like stock, I mean own like your business is going to represent what percentage of that 2.4 billion. So let's just use an exercise. Let's say that you want to be making $10,000 a month in earnings. Some of you, that might be a lofty goal. Some of you say, it's a good start. Some of you might say, I passed that a while ago. I'm a simple math guy, so you'll understand why I picked this number. So let's say it's 10,000. And let's say that you're able to work 10 hours a week. Okay. Some of you may have less, some of you have more to work. I'm just suggesting 10 hours a week. So I want you to take your calculator, and 10 hours a week over 4 weeks is 40 hours, right? In anybody else's book? 40 hours a month. So let's just take a little bit less than that. Let's say you can only work half of that. 5 hours a week in your spare time, because it's a part-time job for you. Times 4 is 20, correct? 5 times 4 is 20, you school teachers. So I'm going to take the $10,000 that you're going to make. Oh, cool. My guess is here. Awesome. But I'm going to fix this and I'm going to bring him on. So $10,000 a month is your goal, divided by 20 hours. What is your time worth per hour? $500 an hour. So what are the productive behaviors if you approach your day and say that my time is going to be worth $500 an hour, what are you going to do? And Jeremy, I'm gonna bring you on in a second. I need to do you the right intro. Just making sure that I got the cell phone number right, so I'm going to unmute you when the time comes. Are you on your phone, or I'm looking for you here. Anyway, we'll get that taken care of in just a second. So think about that. Number one, you are building a multi-billion-dollar global enterprise. It's important to consider it that way. Start thinking about, even though you might be an embryo today, what that's going to look like. And that if the company is going to be a $2.4 billion company in 3 years, which that again is not a dream, it's our business plan. And if you've ever heard Fred or Mark or Brent talk about this plan, there should be no doubt in your mind that this is going to happen. It isn't a question. What might be the question is it going to be sooner than that, or maybe a little bit longer? But I will tell you that is our business plan, and there's a strategy involved with that. And number three, if your time is worth, so you're going to take your monthly goal divided by the number of hours that you believe that you're going to be able to work the business per week, times 4 is equal per month. Divide that, and that will give you what the value of your time is worth. And I would propose it's worth anywhere between $200 and $500 an hour. So when someone in your team calls and says, "Oh, my products arrived a day late. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm so frustrated." And I'm not downplaying the fact that people get frustrated when their products are late, but you know what? If your time is worth $500 an hour, you're going to say to them, "Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry we weren't able to meet your expectations. Have you called customer service? I'm sure they will be able to take care of this for you. Ensure that it gets there on time next time. Thank you. You know what? I have a goal that I would need to meet. I appreciate your time. I'm in recruiting mode right now. I appreciate the call. Maybe we can schedule something on Saturday in my free time, because right now I'm in building mode." What difference your conversations are going to take, because you realize your time is worth $500 an hour and you do not have the time to be in a pity party. You want to listen, you want to give your love, you want to give a big hug, a virtual hug today, and say, call customer service, because I'm building right now. I've got to focus on what I'm doing. I promise you, you will transform the way your business goes. So just a little thoughts as we were there and I was vamping for our guest to come on. So, you know, I've talked about a lot of times some of the guests that we have on, and this is somebody that I have a huge amount of respect for. I've known him since he was, well, much younger than we both are today. When I was hired into Weeder Nutrition, which I've told you guys I have a background, it was his father that interviewed me and recommended, hired me. Love his family and his father, God rest his soul. And Jeremy has been a master distributor, $1 million a year earner. He started his own company and then bought the company that he had been a master distributor for. He's a CEO, he's a board member, and he's just one of the good guys in the industry. And so please welcome my friend and someone you're going to learn a ton from tonight, Jeremy Reynolds. Jeremy, are you there? Did you call in? Let me see if I can find you. If you called in, let me see. I've got an 801 number here. Anthony, maybe you can help me if there's an 801 number, unmute that for me. I'm going to Hold on a second.
I believe he's showing up as Beyond.
Yeah, that would be Beyond. Thank you. That's the right one.
Yeah. He just needs to be unmuted.
There
Yep.
we go.
Hey, what's up?
How are you, Rick?
I'm doing great.
Fantastic. I'm so sorry to be late. I apologize.
I know. I was thinking you're on the side of the road somewhere, bleeding out. I wouldn't know how to find you.
No, it's great to be on with you, and I love the wisdom you've been imparting. I've been on for maybe the last, I don't know, 6 or 8 minutes. So great information, good stuff. Anyway,
Cool.
excited to share some nuggets tonight.
Yeah. So let me give you a framework of this call. So it's called A-Team. It stands for Action Team. These are people who want to learn. Either they are enrolling at least one person a week, if not more, or they're wanting to learn the skills for it. It's a business-focused call. As I've said to you before, I invite people and friends from all over the industry because I think it's just really healthy to do that. And you're somebody that I just look up to and have a huge amount of respect for. So why don't you share a little bit about your story first, just so they have a kind of a little bit of an idea of who you are.
Well, thanks, Rick. And you guys, I love Rick Redford. Can I just tell you, he's just an amazing individual. So Rick, thank you for the opportunity to be on with you tonight and to be able to meet some of your team and to be able to interact a little bit of my background. I grew up right here in Utah, serial entrepreneur as a kid. Grew up with an entrepreneurial father that always said, start your own business, and yet went to work for the company he worked for. And so it was really supposed to be a part-time job that turned into a 6-year start to a career. And then from there ended up going to several different companies that were the manufacturers for the industry. And not just this industry, but the sports nutrition industry and other, industries in direct sales and major brands. And so nutrition focused, sports nutrition focused, and that kind of thing. Had a great opportunity to work for some of the largest capsule tablet manufacturing companies in the world, making products for some of the biggest tier 1 companies in our industry, companies like names you would definitely recognize: Nutrilite, Herbalife, Nu Skin, Meluca, the big tier 1 players. And had a great career in manufacturing products for those companies. Actually, I guess it was 2003. So it's been 17 years ago. I rolled the dice big time. I left the safe, secure job. I second mortgaged my home, and I bought a little manufacturing facility that was losing money here in Salt Lake City, and turned it around, got that to be a pretty decent operation, got it up to about 30 million in annual sales, and then sold it to my older brother and a business partner that those guys were the MBAs. I was the guy that didn't finish college. So, it's kind of one of those experiences where you hire the smarter guys than you. And they ultimately ended up taking that company to almost 250 million in revenue annually here locally, and sold that this last year and exited for, setting both of those guys up for life. So it was a pretty good opportunity. We actually had employee profit share plans. So we were able to create a lot of millionaires through, our employees that stayed with that company over the long term. And I'll just tell you, to go from there to where I am today, I'll give you the rest of the story, but I just want to share, I want to stop right there and just say, when I bought that facility, we had to set up some operating principles. And that was really key for me, is to, what am I going to stand for in owning a company, being this new entrepreneur? And you can relate this to a direct sales business in a huge way, because if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything, right? And so the idea of it was I needed to have some principles that I wasn't going to compromise on. And we painted this on the wall of our facility. I've literally used this on every business card I've ever produced in my career. And now today we don't use those much anymore, but I still live by these principles. And if you watch any video of my direct sales career, this is the theme of what I talk about. And it's 3 operating principles that have served me extremely well as I built a business inside of direct selling. And it worked for this manufacturing company. The first operating principle was be ethical. Just do the right thing, right? Be smart, be wise, and do the right thing. Always be truthful in what it is that you're doing. And in the manufacturing world, that had to do with making sure that the product lived up to the reputation of the ingredients in it, that you didn't cut corners, and you didn't, do anything that would be in the gray area. It was always either black or white. You were either telling the truth or you weren't. And that's just how it was. Be ethical in all that you do. Number 2 was be responsive. And I can tell you that was a huge advantage to our manufacturing facility that we had. And it worked inside of direct selling as well, because we sponsor people, right? In the manufacturing world, I would quote for companies. So companies would come to me with their protein powder needs, or their fiber supplement, or their new drink mix that they were making, or whatever. And I was faster than everybody else at being able to quote them in whether they wanted it in a stick pack or in a packet, or whether they wanted it in a tub. And I actually dialed in a really unique quoting system so that I could turn around quotes faster than anybody else could. And people were always cross-checking their business with me. And so I always got a first shot because I was faster than everyone else at responding to their needs. That turned into, in direct sales when I got started, into the idea of sponsoring people and being the responsive upline, being the person that would be there for those people with the right answer at the right moment. And eventually not being the one to answer the question, but to point where to find the answer so I could leverage my time. Just like Rick was saying about shipping and handling and what do you do? You know, look, you're way too well paid, whether you believe it or are actually getting it right now or not. You are, because of the industry you're a part of. There is no reason you should be being responsive to every question coming up from your team. Be the tour guide and let the company resources be where you point them to get their questions answered, not being the one that answers all their questions. So responsive means that you're showing them in a lot of the ways where to get to their answers, and you're doing it faster because now you're teaching them to fish instead of feeding them with the fish. So to me, that was a great principle. 1, be ethical. 2, be responsive. And 3rd, and this is huge, I had to put a big asterisk by this one, because in my manufacturing company, when I toured people through and I mentioned this operating principle, some people thought it was going to cost them more to do business with me when they heard this word. And it was be profitable. Be profitable was the 3rd operating principle. And in some ways, some people would say, well, wait a minute, if that means be profitable and you're my manufacturing company, that means you're going to charge me more so you can make more. And I would always be quick to say, no, the reason I put the asterisk by that is I'm going to do something really unique. And Rick will appreciate this because he comes from the same world I do. When we quoted in our manufacturing company, a lot of companies would come to us to find out if they were getting a good deal from their current manufacturer. So what I would do is I would quote them. I'd be very aggressive in the quote, but it would be within a close proximity range to what my actual price would be when they chose me as their vendor. Well, the interesting part is I would actually go to some of my bigger customers and I would say, going back to point number 1 of be ethical and point number 2 of be responsive, here's how I'm going to quote you. It's going to be a little different than what you're used to. I'm going to show you every cost of every material. I'm going to show you every component. I'm going to show you my labor costs. I'm going to show you everything. And then between the two of us, we're going to determine what is a fair profit margin for us to win your business. And then we'll decide if that's a profitable venture for us to enter into, and together we can win. And I'll tell you, it was this idea of partnering with my partners instead of selling them. They were part of the process. They were part of the engagement of it to really learning how to interact with me in business. And they loved it. And then we had more business coming in as a result of this kind of just full transparency of pricing and costs, to where that's why we went and that we became a winning company in this industry. Is some of the biggest companies in this industry would leverage their buying power with us. And when I showed them I could buy this XYZ ingredient for this price, and they would say, well, look, we just signed a contract for that for a lot cheaper than what you're showing. Let's change and use our price on that line item. And all of a sudden it was a synergistic relationship with them helping me reduce costs to help them make more margin. I would make more margin. And if you look at that in the direct sales area, be profitable is about your compensation plan. Now, look, I know you guys have a world-class compensation plan. I've studied it. I've seen it. It's amazing. You all know that, and I'm preaching to the choir, but I can tell you this. The profitability that you derive from your compensation plan will be a direct result of the service that you render in being good at principle number 1, be ethical, and principle number 2, be responsive. If you do that well and you're in front of enough people doing revenue producing activities, you are going to be profitable in your compensation structure. And to me, that's the name of the game. Anything you're not doing that is getting somebody to a buying decision or helping somebody increase their belief in what you're doing is really superfluous activity. You need to be doing revenue producing activities to become profitable. And I'll tell you, it became such a thing in my business. And Rick just mentioned this in his preview to this. You need to have some posture in this when you're talking to people and they're wasting your time and they're going on and on and on talking about, drama and details and things that you really don't need. Just simply say, okay, we've reached the conclusion of this. This is no longer profitable for you. It's no longer profitable for me. So let's either change this into a positive relationship here, or I need to move on because I've got other things I need to be doing. And I love you. I appreciate you. This is no longer profitable. It's not a profitable use of our time. And I would always end every webinar I did, every call I did, every three-way I did with, what did you like best about what you just heard? And was this a profitable use of your time? Because if it was, I did my job. And if it wasn't, I must have missed a detail of where we went wrong because I wasn't being responsive enough to your need, or I wasn't being straightforward enough for the message of what this is. And I'll tell you, those three principles have served me so well in so many different ways, because I've actually asked my team when I was the master distributor or the upline to so many, traveling the world and building a team where we created a lot of very successful incomes and a great deal of traction around the world. I can tell you, I would tell my teams, these are the three operating principles you can count on from me. And if at any time I violate any of those, call me out on it. And I have the ability to do that for you as well. Fair enough. And it would always be this reciprocal relationship that if it was a waste of my time to interact with somebody that was complaining, negative, whatever, I could simply say, this is no longer a profitable use of our time and we need to part ways. And it was always done with respect. I didn't burn a bridge. I didn't have any falling out. It was just, hey, you're not the kind of person that fits the model of what I'm trying to do and trying to become and the company I represent. And that's the beauty of this business. You get to pick the people you work with and you get to leave behind the ones that you don't want to. And it's really cool. Some people are part of your history, not part of your destiny. And you need to choose from those people very wisely so that you can get on to business and make it happen.
Say that one more time. Say that.
So some people are part of your history, not part of your destiny. That's for sure.
Somebody frame that, put it on their wall, because so did you want to share anything more about you? Or
well, look, I mean, the rest of it's kind of, the rest of it's just direct sales, right? I mean, it's the same thing over and over and over. I did the same presentation hundreds of times. I got good at that presentation. I got good at the compensation plan and explaining it in concise detail. And I guess the only other thing I would say, in the 15 years I've been doing this inside of direct sales, simplicity is the key. If it doesn't duplicate, stop doing it. If you're overcomplicating the process, find a way to simplify it. And at the end of the day, I got to a point where, frankly, mismanagement and frustration led me to taking the money we had earned, and we were smart with our money. I learned from my dad how to put money away and how to save and how to do those things. So we didn't live a lavish lifestyle. We made great income, especially after we sold our manufacturing company. I didn't need for money anymore. Now it wasn't dollar signs on people's foreheads. It was, how can I help you? What can I do to really, truly serve you? And I mean that. And they're like, nah, you just want to sell me. And I'm like, no, honestly, I just want to serve you. I don't need your money. So, look, let's just get down to whether this is a fit for you or not. And I'll tell you, when you don't have to worry about money, it takes all the pressure off. And to me, that was our greatest success inside of direct sales, is we could give more than everybody else could give. And the leader that serves the most wins the most, and ultimately has the better experience out of the game. So anyway, Rick, that's my journey. I mean, we were smart with our money to the point where when the company just started making bonehead moves and stuff, we just decided to buy the company. So anyway.
A couple of things, Jared, because I mean, there's so many different directions. One of the things I admire most about you is your just positive attitude. You're even when I know you've gone through challenges in your life and loss of loved ones, like we all do, and different moments of despair, you've always been like this. It's just, you've got this positive attitude all the time. And I just think that is something that's lost in a lot of the world today, that there's so much fear and apprehension and anxiety that people are afraid to dream and smile and be optimistic. And I know you and I are a lot alike that way.
Yeah.
And it congratulations on that, because it's not easy.
Thanks. Well, you know, a lot of people ask me, why is it you're always so smiley? I said, well, it's really easy. If you go to bed with a coat hanger in your mouth, you'll wake up with a smile on your face. No, look, guys, the reality is this. I love what I do.
Yeah.
And if you can find your passion, you know, it's kind of funny, Rick. I mean, I actually went to one of these, my daughters are really into spiritual, you know, this healers and stuff like that. It was kind of cool. So they sent me to a psychic. And I'm like, okay, this is like, what is this all about? It was so funny. When I walked in, I met this lady and she immediately just looked at me and she goes, you're a happy guy. And I said, you know what? I choose to be happy every day. And she looked at me and she said, you know what? You have an energy about you that is just, it brightens my day to see you and to have that. And you know what? That's the kind of influence that you want with people. Don't be the one that is the negative. Don't be the, you know, look, there's enough of that in the world. If you want to go out and make a difference in people's lives, truly, you know, brighten somebody else's day and give some of your energy to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And pretty soon it just becomes a habit of what you do. And that energy is infectious and people want to be around you. So I learned that from my dad. And you know that, Rick. I mean, he was the kindest, the happiest guy I knew.
Yeah. He's one of my favorite people of all time.
For sure.
So go back to your early stages when you're just kind of getting started as a distributor, kind of, you know, go through the time machine with me for a minute. Did you ever have somebody that you were sure was going to be a success and you just dragged them along? And how important is it to acknowledge that and move on, or, you know, fish or cut bait or all that? Because a lot of people, they want so much more for their people than those individuals want for themselves. And so they'll pay for their conventions. They'll drag them along. They'll keep doing that because they see, you know, something exciting about that person, but that never amounts to success.
It's totally true. You know, I had a mentor of mine. That is so true. And it happens to all of us in this space. Yeah. Because it's kind of funny. Somebody once told me that every weenie knows a hot dog. So get past the ones. So anyway, get to the ones that are really making it happen. But here's the thing that's really interesting. I also learned something, that you can't push a rope. And it's so true. I think Zig Ziglar said it, or was it? Yeah, it was either Zig Ziglar, one of them. Anyway, they said, or was it Jim Rohn? Jim Rohn that said it. Look, you can carry one or two, but you can't carry three, right? There's no way. You can't carry everybody and take them all with you. They have to be willing participants in the journey. And if they're not willing to come with you, you're going to wear yourself out trying to carry somebody. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And to me, I would always tell people, you know, again, be profitable. This idea of, if you want to run in this business, I will run stride for stride with you. And I might even take 2 strides to your every one for your benefit if you're willing to put in the work. But if you're unwilling to put in the work, I'll stop when you stop. So pick your pace. You know, I'll set the pace, but I'd love for you to join me on this journey. And I'll show you the steps. I'll show you where to, you know, just follow behind me. But you've got to put in the steps. I can't carry you. So, you know, if you want to find success, come and join me on this journey, because we're going there with or without anyone. And if you can understand that power and people feel it and they see it and that posture comes through, people will respect you for that. And you can call them on it when they get lazy and start falling back. And you can say, hey, you told me you wanted this. I'm just here to serve. But if you're unservable, there's nothing more I can do. And you do have to, you know, cut bait or whatever it is. I agree 100%. And, you know, you don't want to. For those that you thought was the hot dog, man, and they're just like, they're not doing their part. You know, it's so funny because some of us, we and this is a huge thing. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's all about sponsoring up, right? And it's about working with the ones that bring you that energy and that bring you that. If you're not hanging out with people that are, if you're not hanging out with people that are excited and excitable, you're one person away from the greatest success. You just need to find that excitement. And to me, look, if you're sponsoring up and you're an 8 or a 9 out of a scale of 0 to 10, right? And I'm trying to sponsor up to find other 8s or 9s, it's really easy to find a 6. It's really hard to find another 8. But the problem is with you sponsoring 6s, the 6 is sponsored 4s, the 4 sponsor 2s, the 2 sponsor donuts, and pretty soon you end up with a whole organization of a bunch of do-nothings, right? Do-nothing donuts. And you got to get to a point where you're getting people as excited as you are. You're finding people that are looking and that are willing to run. And when you find those, grab onto them, work hard, plan on them, do whatever it takes, you know, and stay out of the drama and stay into the dream. Stay
out of the drama, stay in the dream. I like that. So going back to one of the things you said about energy, I stated a different way. It's so funny. Our lives have been parallel. We worked together at one time and then we kind of went parallel for a long time now and stayed connected, which I'm so grateful for. I call it energy for energy. So what I say to people is, listen, I may be the oldest person in the room now, but I am going to match you energy for energy, but Amen. You have to take the first step.
That's right.
It's the same philosophy. It's, because if I take the first step, I'm trying to mentor, I'm trying to help you. It's not helping you. You have to take the first step, and then I'll match your energy. And like you say, sometimes run faster.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's, to me, that's what I have really, look, if you can get good at sifting and sorting and then finding the ones that have that energy, and whether you can find them through rank advancements in your organization, whether your organization is maybe not big enough so you know everybody in the organization, so you're going to reach down multiple levels, even if they're outside of your whatever levels that may be in your plan and how that may work. There's a lot of people that say, well, I don't really get a benefit from working with that person. And it's like, wait, that is so short-sighted, because you never know when compression comes around or when, certain things happen. What goes around comes around. The reality is serve everybody. Cross-line, up-line, sideline, doesn't matter. You're in one team to build one organization that is going to be the highest performing. And the numbers that Rick's throwing out, I have no doubt that's what your company's going to do, because you have the vision for it. You've got the ownership for it. You've got the model for it. Look, if you're going to be part of that, stake your claim to what that number is. We're doing the very same thing right now inside of our small little, budding company right now. And it's literally going to the top 10 leaders and saying, okay, you know what? We're going to do an incremental 100 million this year. How much of that do you want? Because whatever part of that you're going to be a part of, you're going to earn the reward of. And let's go and share in this and build it and take it to the moon. And so, when you're getting the whole organization into that number, it may not mean much for one individual to hear, billions of dollars in revenue, but you're a part of that $1 billion of revenue or multiple billions of dollars. And what an opportunity if you can be a larger part than a smaller part of that. Holy smokes, what an amazing ride.
And everyone, this is an equal opportunity. Everyone has that opportunity. Whether you're starting today or you're a top leader today, you all have an equal opportunity to that portion. It's really where, and you might have missed this in the beginning. One of the things I wanted everybody to write down is, let's say I am Jeremy Reynolds. I'm building a multi-billion-dollar global enterprise, and start thinking about your budding company or budding organization as being that multi-billion-dollar global enterprise, instead of, oh, my organization is just a small little group.
Yeah.
The minute you transition in your thinking from being a small little group, in Strathmore, Alberta, or American Fork, Utah, but I'm now building a global enterprise. It is truly just a shift.
Oh, you know what? My favorite quote of all time: "What the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." The other one that I love is, "A mind stretched by a new idea can never regain its original dimension." That's Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., probably my favorite quote of all time. It's the idea of, don't shrink your dreams to fit your income. The idea is, get your mind thinking bigger of the things that are the possibilities that you can grow into. And this idea, if you can expand your mind into thinking bigger, you'll become bigger. And look, The Secret had it right back in the day. It needed a little more action in there, but it's true. You will become exactly what it is that you decide to be. My kids and I were it's really interesting. We were coming through, we did a road trip with our family, and our whole family drove up through some of this, I think it was called the Big Basin Forest down in between Santa Cruz and San Francisco. Killer stretch of drive where we went up through the big, huge sequoia and redwood trees, right? And not the big, huge ones up Northern California, but these were big enough. I mean, huge trees like I'd never seen before in my life. And I remember clearly, you know, you've probably heard this before, this idea of the reason those redwoods can grow so big. They all start something small, right? And at the gift shop in the entrance to the place, they sold the little saplings, right?
Yeah, the saplings, yeah.
And it was like you could buy them and take them home, and someday you're going to have this huge, you know, redwood growing in your yard. That's not how it all works. But here's the reality. It really was, whether it's a bonsai tree or whether it's a full-blown huge redwood, the idea is the bucket that it's in, right? So that idea of this little constraint that little sapling is in, it's only going to grow as big as that bucket will allow. So if you're not transplanting that and giving it bigger fertile land to grow in. So my question to my kids, and it was kind of funny, as we were going through this, we were seeing that and talking about it. And I had this theme for the trip that was, how big's your bucket? Because if your bucket includes all the things that you want to do in life, and you have unlimited possibilities of your bucket list items of the things that are non-negotiable that you will check off at some point in your life, you're going to live a rich, full, purposeful life. If your idea is, hey, I can't do that, I can't afford it, that's not in the cards for me, my group isn't ever going to get that big, or I can't ever be a contributor at that level to a billion with a B, for real, I just don't see myself. You know what? You're your own limitation. So get out of your way, get a bigger bucket, and grow. And just start thinking bigger. The moment you do that, all the possibility exists for you.
That is a perfect place to end these calls. What I find on these calls, Jeremy, especially, you know, with someone like yourself that could go on, I mean, literally could go on for hours, and I would be stimulated. I'm sure everybody on the call would be, but, you know, obviously we're not able to do that. But thank you for being a part of this call tonight, for being willing to come on another company. And like I said earlier, before you joined us, the reason why I do this is because why wouldn't we together try to raise the boats in the industry, especially
Amen.
with good companies like yours, good company like ours. You know, let's not be so. It goes back to your big bucket. I mean, this is a big bucket world, and there's so much for all of us. And let's be abundant, not scarcity thinking. And so, thank you for being a part of that and for sharing that. You know, I love you, and I appreciate you being on the call tonight.
Hey, appreciate you, Rick. Love you guys. Appreciate all that you're doing. And you know what? If anything that was said tonight helps one person do something great, you know, it is worth it. So I appreciate it, Rick. Thanks for the opportunity of coming on. I love that you do this. I think this is so awesome. Such an awesome thing. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. And Myra, you missed Myra earlier. I'll send you the recording because you'll want to see yourself again over and over, I'm sure. But you should watch Myra. She's on the football staff, coaching staff of University of Tennessee. She's amazing. And
wow.
Never wanted to be a part of MLM, and she shared her story. So Myra, thank you for kicking off the call tonight. And for all of you, we'll see you on ARIIX Live next Tuesday. I'm going to stop the recording and unmute the line so you can express your appreciation. Thanks again.
Thanks so much, Rick, Myra, Jeremy.